When my kids were little, toddler, preschool age, I will never forget what another mom told me in a playgroup I was in. She looked at me in the eyes and said, "Do you realize that you will be in relationship with your kid as you raising a small child for only a third of their life? They will be an adult for two-thirds of your lives together. So it's really important that you build on this relationship now." What? I mean, that hit me right in the gut and in the heart and everywhere because I was in survival mode. All I cared about was to get my kids to listen and for them to behave well. I wasn't focused on the relationship. Then I started learning about brain development, learning about attachment, and relationship really is everything. I'm sure you've heard people say, "Oh my gosh, it goes by so fast." I have a different opinion. I don't think it's gone by fast at all. I have a 16-year-old now. It has taken a long time to get to this place. However, I see what people mean because now he's not a little kid. He doesn't want to just do everything with me and go on vacations with us. I mean, he still will, and we have amazing family time, and we value that. It just looks different than whenever he was 3, 4, 5. And what I did with him in those early years has really mattered for where we are now. Yes, I did not have the skills and the tools when he was little, but I learned with each kid how those early years are the absolute most important. And no matter how old your kids are, you can start implementing what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go through 7 ways that you can connect with your kids in the micro moments and the daily moments of everyday life now so that you can build a strong relationship later. An epiphany that a lot of parents who go through my Purpose Parent Transformation Program have is that they realize that parenting isn't just this role and it's not just this job that they have to keep these little humans alive, but it's really about developing a strong relationship from the beginning. We are wired to connect to each other and to want to be in relationship with our caregivers, with our parents as soon as we are born. And that's called attachment. And as I have been a mom now for almost 17 years, crazy, I realize that this is the most important thing of raising children is relationship. That's why I wanted to talk today about lots of different ways that you can build connection and create connection in your everyday life, no matter what stage that your kids are in, no matter where you are, and the everyday moments. This is not something you need to do on top of. It's what you should do while you are just already with your kids. Let's get into it. First one is play. If you've been around raising kids with purpose for long, you know that I am a huge proponent of play because the research is so clear as to how we as humans are wired to play. It turns on the part of the brain that we want to be turned on and have access to. It connects us. It creates all these wonderful hormones that actually physically can create a connection. And it is just way more fun to be playful than it is to always be yelling at our kids. They like it. Once you start to do it, you'll eventually like it because you may think, I don't like play. I don't have time for play. I'm not talking about sitting down and doing imaginative play. I'm talking about just becoming playful in your interactions. If you talk to your children at all during the day, then you have time to play. You can change your voice. You can change your body posture. You can get all loosey goosey, is what came to mind. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're welcome. Okay, so then the second one is quality one-on-one time. You can call this focus time. You can call this mind, body, spirit time. I've seen it called so many different things. Quality time together where you have one-on-one time. Again, when I am saying this, you may think, I don't have time to do that. I'm talking 5 to 10 minutes. If you can do that daily, great. When I had 3 little ones, that felt very impossible. So I aimed for a couple days a week or maybe even once a week where I carved out time. I even have a printable. If you want to download that, I'll put it in the show notes. It is one-on-one time. It gives you so many different activities that you can do in the house, out of the house that cost nothing. This is really important. We don't want to just constantly going out and buying our kids stuff and, having to buy ice cream and frozen yogurt and take them bowling and, and all those things because that might not create the best, expectations for your kids. These are free, simple to do activities, gives them control. They can look at the list and pick what they want. And there's also a sheet that gives you some examples, if you want to use it, of rules. We would set a timer. We don't need to do this anymore. When my kids were younger, we had these little timers with magnets on the back. I'll put the link below. They have them all over Amazon. We would set the timer for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on how much time we had. And that time was that child's. This was a little tricky when I was a full-time stay-at-home mom and I didn't have someone else to help with the other kids. So we would do it after my husband was done working, or I would have a neighbor come over and spend 10 minutes with the other child and they were getting one-on-one time with that person too. You can get creative on what this looks like. And maybe your other kids are fine just playing by themselves and they don't need you, and you can carve out that time with that child. It could be walking around the block. You can do lots of different things, having them tell you how to build something using Legos. The key here is to not have any agenda yourself and allow them to lead whatever you're going to do. That gives them autonomy and it really fills that core developmental need of autonomy and agency and also competency and relatedness. It fills all of this self-determination theory, which is the theory on human motivation. And because whenever you can fill your child's connection tank up or you're putting deposits into a bank, then you have more to spend later. And that's whenever you're asking them to do something they don't want to do, they're more willing to. And this is mostly subconscious because you have filled their tank or if you have filled their bank with deposits of connection. It's also our family's secret weapon to decrease sibling fighting, because a lot of the sibling fighting happens because they're wanting you, they're wanting your attention. The more kids you have, the less of you they get, and that's fine. So if you can carve out 5 minutes with each kid at least once a week, this could help with sibling fighting as well. If you're needing more resources with sibling fighting, I do have a Stop the Fighting toolkit that you can grab. I will put the link below. It gives you an exact framework on how to decrease fighting. It has completely transformed our kids. And again, I have 3 boys that are intense and love seeking energy from each other. And so I have a framework that I have learned, I have applied, and I use it pretty much every day. Number 3 is to hug your children. This is something that I am finding to be a little harder, to be honest, with my teenager. I just don't think to hug him. Now, if you have teenagers and you hug them all the time, that's awesome. I would love if you want to post in the comments, what do you do? How is this, natural for you? And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he's my first and he went from being this little boy, like I said in the intro, of I was raising a child and now he's more of a man child. Is that weird to say? But that's what it is. He has muscles now. He's taller than me. And so it just doesn't come as natural as it does to snuggle and hug my younger ones. And that's something that I am very mindful of because it's just as important for our teenagers and even probably our adult children to get a hug once in a while, as long as, of course, they want that. And there's a lot of research about this is the number that I had found. Now, I haven't updated this. This was when I did research back in 2020. So maybe there's been an update on this, but it's 4 hugs for a day for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, and 12 for growth. That's a lot of hugs. I can think now with my 9-year-old, I probably do that for sure. With my 14 and 6-year-old, not as much. So once I'm done with this, guess where I'm going? I'm going to go hug my kids. And also, research has shown that the longer the hug, so if you have a 15-second to 20-second hug, and I will get really weird and funny about this with my teenagers, is, oh, I got to count my hug. It releases oxytocin and it helps with the bonding hormone. And we definitely want that when our kids are teenagers and off getting into other people's cars and their own cars, because we want to make sure that they still are connected to us and we have that secure attachment. And that book, if you want to read, is called Hold On to Your Kids. That talks about that, how we still need to hold on to our kids as they get older. And that is by Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Mate. I will put that in the show notes as well. The fourth way to build connection is at bedtime. Bedtime is the best time. I read aloud, and I would love to do this again with my middle child until he was at least 13 years old. We would lay together side by side. He is not the touchy-feely, want to hug you all the time. He will give me hugs, though. We would read the Wing Feather Saga was a great saga that we read together. We read Wild Robot, Badger, Skunk and Badger, and all these books. There's one about a polar bear that we read and just created so much connection. Now, my son is an extremely strong reader, and it's still really good for kids to hear the written word aloud, and it really helped our connection and our bond. And now I am reading right now. We're reading the second Wild Robot with my youngest, and at bedtime with my oldest. Now, he sometimes doesn't go to bed till 1 a.m. I do not stay up that late. And so I try to take that time and have some connection during that time as well, and just ask him how his day was. And it seems as if teenagers really, really like to open up at 11 o'clock at night if I'm still up. Oh, and another way to connect at bedtime, especially if you have 0 to 8-year-old, even maybe 9-year-old, is by reading these super cute books. They are by Andrew Newman. They are called Conscious Stories. Again, I will link them in the show notes. I love these books so, so much because at the beginning of every single one, he has this little practice together where it says, I breathe for me and we breathe for ourselves. I breathe for you. We breathe for each other. I breathe for us. I breathe for the two of us together. And then I breathe for all of those who surround us. Then we get into the story. The stories are super cute. The illustrations are beautiful. This one that I'm showing, if you're watching on YouTube, is called The Hug Factory. It's the cutest little story. And they go out and get hugs. We were just talking about how hugging is a powerful way to connect with kids. And at the end of all of his books, he has little exercises that help with processing the day and with connection. With this one, with the Hug Factory, it usually has something to do with the story. There are little steps that you take. This one says, 1, how many hugs did you receive today? You can talk about that. I didn't receive any. And then you can hug them and snuggle them and use that time to connect. 2, how many hugs did you give today? That gets them thinking about others. 3, what special ingredients do you put in your hugs? 4, what sticky thoughts are bothering you? He explains what sticky thoughts are in the story. 5, do you remember how to get free? Let's do that together. Then you practice that while you're in bed. And 6, who are you growing hugs for as you sleep tonight? And all of the exercises at the end are similar, and it really is just gives you a moment to truly connect with your kids. And as you read any kind of story, whether you're reading conscious stories or not, it's really great to use that as a way to process the day. Say you're reading Wild Robot, like I've been reading with my son. Instead of just reading it, he reads a page, I read a page. So we are working on his reading skills too. Instead of just doing that, we talk about the characters. We talk about what's happening. You can pull out these themes and ask open-ended questions to see where they are and what happened to them that day. Andrew talks about in his TED Talk how we process everything that happened to us while we sleep. Our brain basically sorts, what are we going to keep? What are we going to get rid of? I forget what the name of that is called. There is a name that we basically get all the garbage out. And so if a child has something that happened and you didn't know about, and it might not seem very big to you, but it's really big to them where they are in their development, it's really important that we process that before they fall asleep and their brain starts to sort it. And here's some other books. There's another one I pulled out. This one's called The Prayer Who Searched for God. They're just the cutest books. Some of them have stickers. Anyways, I hope that you check those out. He makes it easy for you to build in connection in your days because for some parents, the only time you can connect is at bedtime. The fifth way is to eat dinner together. This is really hard to do in today's world. I know so many families who have multiple kids in club sports and theater and this activity and that activity, and it's really hard to sit down together. I have an older child who's now driving and has friends who are driving. This is brand new just in the past month. And he tends to not want to be home for dinner. That is our family value. It is very important. Even if it's only for 10 minutes, we sit around that table together. We discuss our day. We will sometimes pull out conversation starters, talk about what we're grateful for, point out strengths and things that we appreciate about each other, because sometimes, depending on what the schedule is like for all five of us, it's sometimes the only time we have to connect together as a family. So connection is really important between you and your child, but it also is as a family unit. And this can help with all the things like sibling fighting and that kind of stuff as well. And the research is really clear on how important it is to have family dinner. And this doesn't mean you have to have these elaborate family meals. I pretty much cook chicken, a vegetable, and rice almost every night. You can ask my kids. I stopped making pot roast because I was told that it was gross. One day, maybe they'll like it again. The sixth tip is to give effort-based praise. So really focus on the effort they've made, the process praise. We have gone through this in past episodes on how praise actually isn't very helpful, but we really focus on I noticed how hard you worked on that, or I noticed that you really practiced. My son just had his drum recital. We even went back and watched the last two from last summer. I think there was one in between. And I said, wow, did you notice your improvement, or did you notice the difference? And he's like, oh my gosh, I've improved so much. And I said, yeah, I've been hearing you practice almost every day. Whereas the other times you never practiced at home because we didn't have an acoustic drum set at the time and he didn't like his electric drum set. Now he has this acoustic drum set and he is motivated to practice. And I'm really focusing on the effort and connecting with him in those moments. Also, when we have things like recitals and soccer games and basketball games, we do encourage our whole family to show up for each other if your schedule allows it. The seventh way to connect is to disconnect. Disconnect from that little handheld device you probably have. I just found an app that makes my phone kind of into a dumb phone. It has helped a lot. I've gotten my screen time down so much, and I've just been very intentional. When my kids are talking, the phone is not even out, it is put away. I had some coaching sessions that I took or that I did while my son was at camp this morning. And afterwards, I asked him if he wanted to go to a coffee shop. We sat there for maybe 15 minutes. That was our one-on-one time today. And he wanted to tell me all the drills and all the things that he did at basketball. I made sure my phone was not even out so that I could focus on him and really listen to him. Even though in the back of my mind, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I have all these things to do. I was as intentional as I could to be present with him in that moment, building up that bank account of connection. And when we're on our devices or computers, and yes, a lot of us use them for work. I'm using mine right now. When we're on those things, it does not provide the connection that our kids need. They need our eye contact and our warmth, and for us to really just zone in and focus on them. And so that distracts us from doing that. And honestly, it distracts us from being connected to our planet and nature and all the things that our brains need as adults and especially developing brains need. I'm going to wrap this thing up. In summary, here are the 7 ways that you can build a strong relationship with your kids. One is through play and being playful. Connect by being silly, goofy, having fun together. Two is that one on one quality time, 5 to 10 minutes, either daily or weekly or even monthly if you can squeeze that in. But I would suggest that you do it at least weekly. 3 is to hug your kids and hug them for a while. 4 is that bedtime bonding. At the end of the day, you can use this time to connect and wind down, hear about their day, share about your day. It's such a great way to build a strong relationship. 5 is to eat dinner together around the dinner table, or maybe that is out to eat, but you are around the table eating together and conversing and learning about each other. And 6 is using effort-based praise and focusing on their character strengths and what they did in order to do the thing that you're super proud of. 7 is to disconnect in order to connect. These are all super simple ways, basic things that help you build a strong relationship with your kids. If you can build that foundation now when they're little, you will be able to just keep building on that whenever they're teenagers. Now, if you're at a place where you have teenagers and they will not talk to you and will not do any of these things, that means you need to start digging those trenches and really start from the ground up even before you pour that foundation. I can help you do this. I have a parent teen program where I work with the teenagers and I work with you as a parent. And so it is in my Purpose Parent Transformation program, the Parent Teen Edition. So if you're interested in that, I will pop the link below for you to jump on my calendar and we can chat. It is raisingkidswithpurpose.com/chat. I hope you take these tips and remember that you are pouring into or depositing into your kids connection banks, which helps everything. It helps their relationship with you, but it also helps their relationship with others, especially when they become adults. Now, go raise those kids with purpose.